कुंज बिहारी राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे जय जय प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद नित्य गौर हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल
हरे कृष्ण। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितां तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललितां श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्त काञ्चन गौरांगी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण। Reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse number 39. Esha te bihita sankhye buddhir yoge tvimam shrunu buddhaya yukto yaya partha karma bandham prahasyasi. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. I think first we will take the word-to-word meaning. Esha, all this, te, unto you. Abhihita, described. Sankhye, by analytical study. Buddhi, intelligence. Yoge, in work without fruitive result. Tu, but. Imam, this. Shrunu, just hear. Buddhya, by intelligence. Yukta, dovetailed. Yaya, by which. Partha, O son of Pritha. Karma bandhanam, karma bandham, bondage of reaction. Prahasyasi, you can be released from. Translation. Thus far, I have described this knowledge to you through analytical study. Now, listen as I explain it in terms of working without fruitive results. O son of Pritha, when you act in such knowledge, you can free yourself from the bondage of works. Purport. According to the Nirukti or the Vedic dictionary, Sankhya means that which describes things in detail. And Sankhya refers to that philosophy which describes the real nature of the soul. And Yoga involves controlling the senses. Arjuna's proposal not to fight was based on sense gratification. Forgetting his prime duty, he wanted to cease fighting because he thought that by not killing his relatives and kinsmen, he would be happier than by enjoying the kingdom after conquering his cousins and brothers, the sons of Dhritarashtra. In both ways, the basic principles were for sense gratification. Happiness derived from conquering them and happiness derived by seeing kinsmen alive are both on the basis of personal sense gratification, even at a sacrifice of wisdom and duty. Krishna therefore wanted to explain to Arjun that by killing the body of his grandfather, he would not be killing the soul proper. And he explained that all individual persons, including the Lord himself, are eternal individuals. They were individuals in the past, they are individuals in the present, and they will continue to remain individuals in the future because all of us are individual souls eternally. We simply change our bodily dress in different manners, but actually we keep our individuality even after liberation from the bondage of material dress. An analytical study of the soul and the body has been very graphically explained by Lord Krishna. And this descriptive knowledge of the soul and the body from different angles of vision has been described here as Sankhya in terms of the Nirukti dictionary. This Sankhya has nothing to do with the Sankhya philosophy of the atheist Kapila. Long before the impostor Kapila's Sankhya, the Sankhya philosophy was expounded in the Srimad Bhagavatam by the true Lord Kapila, the incarnation of Lord Krishna, who explained it to his mother Devahuti. It is clearly explained by him that the Purusha or the Supreme Lord is active and that he creates by looking over Prakriti. This is accepted in the Vedas and in the Gita. The description in the Vedas indicates that the Lord glanced over Prakriti or nature and impregnated it with atomic individual souls. All these individuals are working in the material world for sense gratification, and under the spell of material energy, they are thinking of being enjoyers. This mentality is dragged to the last point of liberation when the living entity wants to become one with the Lord, This is the last snare of Maya or sense gratificatory illusion, and it is only after many, many births of such sense gratificatory activities that a great soul surrenders unto Vasudeva, Lord Krishna, thereby fulfilling the search after the ultimate truth. Arjuna has already accepted Krishna as his spiritual master by surrendering himself unto him. Shishyasteham shadimam tvam prapannam. Consequently, Krishna will now tell him about the working process in Buddhi Yoga or Karma Yoga, or in other words, the practice of devotional service only for the sense gratification of the Lord. This Buddhi Yoga is clearly explained in chapter 10, verse 10, as being direct communion with the Lord, who is sitting as Paramatma in everyone's heart. But such communion does not take place without devotional service. One who is therefore situated in devotional or transcendental loving service to the Lord, or in other words, in Krishna consciousness, attains to this stage of Buddhi Yoga by the special grace of the Lord. The Lord says, therefore, that only to those who are always engaged in devotional service out of transcendental love does He award the pure knowledge of the devotion in love. In that way, the devotee can reach Him easily in the ever blissful kingdom of God. Thus, the Buddhi Yoga mentioned in this verse is the devotional service of the Lord, and the word Sankhya mentioned herein has nothing to do with the atheistic Sankhya Yoga enunciated by the impostor Kapila. One should not therefore misunderstand that the Sankhya Yoga mentioned herein has any connection with the atheistic Sankhya, nor did that philosophy have any influence during that time, nor would Lord Krishna care to mention such godless philosophical speculations. Real Sankhya philosophy is described by Lord Kapila in the Srimad Bhagavatam, but even the Sankhya has nothing to do with the current topics. Here Sankhya means analytical description of the body and the soul. Lord Krishna made an analytical description of the soul just to bring Arjuna to the point of Buddhi Yoga or Bhakti Yoga. Therefore, Lord Krishna's Sankhya and Lord Kapila's Sankhya, as described in the Bhagavatam, are one and the same. They are all Bhakti Yoga. Lord Krishna said, therefore, that only the less intelligent class of men make a distinction between Sankhya Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. Sankhya Yogau Prithak Bala Pravadanti Na Panditaha. Of course, the atheistic Sankhya Yoga has nothing to do with the Bhakti Yoga, yet the unintelligent claim that the atheistic Sankhya Yoga is referred to in the Bhagavad Gita. One should therefore understand that Buddhi Yoga means to work in Krishna consciousness, in the full bliss and knowledge of devotional service. One who works for the satisfaction of the Lord only, however difficult such work may be, is working under the principles of Buddhi Yoga and finds himself always in transcendental bliss. By such transcendental engagement, one achieves all transcendental understanding automatically by the grace of the Lord, and thus his liberation is complete in itself, without his making extraneous endeavors to acquire knowledge. There is much difference between work in Krishna consciousness and work for fruitive results, especially in the matter of sense gratification for achieving results in terms of family or material happiness. Buddhi Yoga is therefore the transcendental quality of work that we perform. Hare Krishna. So hearty welcome to everybody to the evening Bhagavad Gita class on Sunday in Sri Sri Radha Gopinath Mandir. Yes. So in today's verse 2.39, the translation is, "Thus I have described this knowledge to you through analytical study. Now listen as I explain it in terms of working without fruitive results. O son of Pritha, when you act in such knowledge, you can free yourself from the bondage of works. So that is the focus of today's verse. How to get liberated from the bondage of work. Newton's third law of motion. What is it? Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Okay. So, what happens in this world is, when we engage in activity, it certainly has a reaction. And we have to face the consequences of that reaction, and that is known as karma. And getting entangled in this cyclic action. You do something, you get entangled. And again, to disentangle, you try to do something, you get entangled in something else. So this cycle goes on endlessly. And this is known as karma bandhan. That means you are tied because of your actions and your reactions. So how to get free from this entanglement? How to come out of the reactions of your own actions? You cannot remain without acting. You have to act. You just can't keep quiet. But if you do something, there is bound to be a reaction. That is the nature's law. So here, Krishna is giving us a method how to come out of this. Actually, if you try to understand how gradually the discussion between Krishna and Arjuna is progressing in this chapter, we see it is like this. Section 1, from verse number 1 of this chapter to verse number 10. What does it say? It is discussing Arjuna's surrender to Krishna. In the first place, that is a very important principle we need to follow to understand this basic truth. Otherwise, we simply will go on endlessly and there is no escape from it. So, but Krishna is very kind. He does not want us to suffer. Therefore, he has given this literature, he has given this knowledge, and he is explaining it very beautifully, stage by stage. But even to understand this, our material intelligence is not enough. That is why we need to surrender to a Guru. And who is Guru? Guru is one who is sent by Krishna himself. And therefore, a representative of Krishna. And therefore, here Arjuna is showing us that process. That before, because he is confused, the background is like this, that now he has to fight. It has come to that stage. He is already on the battlefield. The chariots are drawn. The armies are standing in opposition. The battle formation is done. Now arrows have to be shot. The Shankh has already been blown. That means the war cry has already been issued. Now it is time for action. And at that time, Arjuna is having a doubt. And suddenly, he backs out. He is telling Krishna, I don't want to fight. At that time, Krishna is beginning to explain to him. And when Arjuna understands that he is completely baffled, he doesn't know to do or not to do. Ye karu ya wo karu. And sometimes we are also caught up in that situation in our life. So at that time, what is to be done? This is known as the material perplexities of life. It is not that only Arjuna is facing this. We also face it in our daily life. Certain situations we call, sometimes we describe it as dharma sankat. If you do something, it is wrong. If you don't do, also it is a greater wrong. So you are caught between the devil and the deep sea. Now how to go? Where to go? At such times, your own intelligence or that of others like you is not going to help you. Then where do you turn to? That solution is given here. That Arjuna is depicting us by his own example. He is surrendering. And that comes in the 7th verse of this chapter. And what is that? Karpanya dosho pahata swabhavat pruchhami tvam dharma sammuda cheta yachreyasam drishtam buhitanme shishyasteham shvadimam tvam prapannam. So he is in this verse surrendering to Krishna. He says, take me as your disciple. I accept you as my master and I want to surrender as your disciple. So this decision each one has to come to in our life. Until we come to that point of surrender, the knowledge will not flow into our consciousness. That is the valve. That valve is controlled by Krishna, sitting as Paramatma within your own heart. It's an inner mechanism. If you have to drive the car, you must know something about the mechanism of the car, isn't it? Something you must know. Otherwise, in the middle of the road, you are caught up, you don't know what to do. There may be no mechanic nearby. At least you must know something. You must know how the car is working. Exactly in the same way, we have got this human body, we are into this human life, and so we are faced with problems. That is just like a battle. The battle of life. So for there, when you need guidance, to whom do you turn? Who is the mechanic to repair your car? It is Krishna, Guru. And that is what Arjuna is doing, he is surrendering to Krishna. And the second section, from verse number 11 to 30, that is the Sankhya philosophy, about which so much discussion is happening in this purport today. Sankhya means study of the true nature of the soul. This is required. Why is it required? Because it is very different from the materialistic environment in which we are put. Please try to understand. You are now in Mumbai. You are in India. You have never traveled abroad. Suddenly, by some mystic mechanism, you are transported to a foreign country. And you open your eyes and you see around you. How will you feel? Comfortable or at a loss? You will feel comfortable or at a loss? Suddenly everything around you is different. You are not in the environment in which you have grown up, where you are naturally, isn't it? You begin to wonder, where am I? What happened to me? मैं कौन हूँ? कहाँ आ गया हूँ? Like they show in Hindi films. Okay? So that is your situation. That is exactly how the soul is suffering in this world. In this material body, in this material environment, it is out of sorts, out of its elements. If you take the fish out of the water, will it be comfortable? If you try to offer all the benefits of the land, will the fish be happy? It cannot be. Exactly that is how we are suffering in this world. That is how we are caught up. For that, now, that discussion, Krishna is explaining to Arjuna, you are not this body, you are the soul. Focus on the soul, do not get disturbed by the considerations of the body, otherwise you will make wrong decisions. Same thing happens to us in our life. We must understand what is at the core of our being. The core of our being is the soul. It is not this external body. Have you seen painters who have become paraplegic? That is, normal people, they meet with some accident, they lose their hand and their legs. That means it is there, but it is not working. The nervous connection is lost. Spinal cord is damaged. But such people, if they have the talent, you know what do? They pick up a brush, hold it in their mouth, or with the foot, they try to paint. They are known as foot and mouth artists. So you must have seen greeting cards painted by foot and mouth artists. Now their hand is not working and their limbs are not working. But how are they still able to paint? Because you are not this body, you are the soul. It is there in the soul. The talent is there inside. It has to find an expression, a way out. So whatever is available, it will use it. If it is the mouth, with the mouth, the painting will start. And the art is still portrayed. So this is our true nature. This is what we understand. So that is explained in the second section. You are not the body, you are the soul. Try to focus on the soul. Shri Shri Radha Gopinath Bhagavan Ki. This third section, that is from 231 to 238, we dealt with that section last time. So that is actually dealing with Karma Kand philosophy. You see, more than 90% of the population of this world are result-oriented. If you talk to them about the soul, they are not convinced, they are not favorably impressed. So here first Krishna is giving Arjuna the basic philosophy, but then he understands that Arjuna is only an instrument for him to convey this information to the whole world. And therefore, he knows that his audience, who are coming down generations after generations, may not all be completely aware of the soul or may not be convinced of the existence of the soul. So they are more interested in working for results, and that is known as karma kanda or karmi. They will work and they expect result. If you work and don't get salary of the end of the month, will you still go for the job? You will not go for the job. So we are all result oriented, and that is the corporate philosophy. Show me results. Give me results and take your promotion. If you want a raise, perform and take your raise. That is how people are driven by the carrot and stick policy to work harder and harder, and if you want to earn more, you have to give more. That is what the world is talking about. So that philosophy now Krishna is explaining from 2.31 to 38, which we have finished. So today we are coming to 2.39. So that is very much appealing to most of the people. And what does Krishna promise there? If you fight, that means you are doing your duty. So then, even if you die in the battle, you still will get the heaven. And if you win the battle, you will gain the kingdom. So there is a gain for you both ways. If you die, you get a better life. And if you live, you will become the conqueror and you will get a kingdom on the earth. So both ways you stand to gain. It is a win-win situation. But that is a material philosophy. It has got no spiritual value in it. But still, Krishna is mentioning that because 90% of the population succumbs to that philosophy. And then, the fourth section, today's section, starting from 2.39, it is talking of Nishkama Karma Yoga. What is this Nishkama? In karma means when you do some activity, there is a reaction. So how do you perform the activity? Two ways you can perform. Either you can aspire for some result. You have some sankalpa, that is some resolution. I am doing this with this goal. This is my goal, I want this. So at the end of it, this has to come to me. So that is why I am doing this job. So, and then people make prayers. They go to the temples, they offer puja, they offer worship. Oh God, please grant my boon, please grant my desires, let me have this, let me have that, let my children get married, let my children pass in my exams, let me be successful in my business, so on and so forth. So what is this? This is known as Sakama Karma. Sakama Karma means you have material desires, and for that you are approaching God and taking His help. You are the one who is the controller, so you can please arrange my life in such a way that I am able to meet with success in my venture. So they perform various kinds of worships. Sometimes they may worship the Supreme Lord, sometimes they may worship the demigods. Whatever is more appealing to them, they will do according to that. But in whatever way, that worship actually, generally, especially when done to the demigods, is actually not a spiritual act, but it is just a material act. But now, after that material act, that is after that, now the next discussion is Nishkama Karma. What is the meaning of Nishkama Karma? Nishkama Karma means performing your duties, but not being attached to the results. Karmanyevadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phalaheturbur mate sangatva karmani. That is a very famous verse. If you talk of Gita, people immediately quote this verse. What does Krishna say here? The only right you have in this world is to do your duty. Karmanye eva adhikaraste. That is all you have. You don't have any further right to demand why the result is not coming to me. Result, I control. Work, you do. That is the rule. That's what he's explaining. Karmanya eva adhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. Do not anticipate that just because you have done, you must get the result. Very often advertisements, what do they say? If I can do it, why not you? That is a wrong philosophy. It's not that when one person gets something, everybody should get it. No. Each one is different, and each one, what they get is according to what they deserve. So, and who knows what they deserve? Your complete account is there up. आपका पूरा खाता ऊपर है. खाता लिखने वाले ऊपर बैठे हैं. Who is he? Chitragupta. So, you are constantly under CCTV surveillance of the Lord. Please remember that. That is why you have to be constantly conscious of Him. And the Supreme Lord is Krishna. And that is why this moment is known as Krishna consciousness. You must be constantly conscious of the Lord, aware that every move of yours is being watched. And when you are in that consciousness, obviously you will not do wrong activities. Because you know you are under watch. You are not doing anything in hiding. You can't hide anything. That is the point. Now, so in Nishkama Karma, so now Krishna is taking one level higher. He is explaining, do not just do not fight just for the sake of victory or for gain. In the earlier section he told him fight for gain, because one section of the population is going for that. But then there are people who are more matured, better understanding. And actually we also have to elevate our consciousness to that level. He is gradually elevating us also along with that. So what does he say here? Yeah. Buddhi Yoga, that is known as Buddhi Yoga. Work in a detached manner. Nirasakt. Asakt nahi, nirasakt. Not result oriented, but principle oriented. Do it for the sake of duty, do it because that is the right thing to be done, irrespective of whether you are going to be benefited by it or not benefited by it. Work for the pleasure of the Supreme, and that is Bhakti Yoga. Work for the pleasure of the Lord. If one comes to that level, then he elevates himself even above Nishkama Karma and comes. So let us briefly discuss this yoga ladder. Yoga means what? Connecting yourself to the Supreme Lord. So this yoga, it starts from a bottom level of consciousness. Gradually, as the consciousness of the soul is elevated, then what happens? As the soul is elevated, so the goal also gets elevated. So then, let us just try to briefly understand how is this yoga ladder arranged. At the bottom of this rung of the ladder is animal behavior. There was a recent movie, Animal, right? So this animal behavior, animal instincts are there in us. There is a beautiful shloka which explains that. Ahara nidra bhayamai tunam cha samanyameta pashubi narana dharmo hitesham adhiko vishesho dharme nahina that is, you are just an animal. You are not a human being if you don't follow the principles of dharma. So, that's just a two-legged animal. Dharme nahina pashubhi samana. So that is it. So then, and so these four things are common to human being and animals. What are the four things common? Ahara, eating; nidra, sleeping; bhaya, self-defense, to protect yourself from being attacked. And last is maithun. Maithun means engaging in the reproductive act, sexual activity, by which the species is propagated further. This is common to human beings and animals. But what makes a human being better than or higher than an animal? That is consciousness of God. God you cannot see with your eyes. You cannot touch, taste. You cannot do any of those things. But you have that faculty of ability to grasp, understand and relate to God in the human form of life. And when you are able to do that, when you utilize the human form of life for that purpose for which you have been awarded this human body, then you are making the right use of the human life. Otherwise, you are underutilizing it. Take an example. In a corporate company, a person is appointed as managing director. So he gets a huge accommodation, a car, and so many perquisites and so many benefits, live travel facility, he can travel abroad with his family, so many things are given. But this person, he just goes and sits on the counter and somebody comes, he puts a rubber stamp and takes the paper and gives. What is he doing? Is he doing the job of a managing director? He is doing the job of the clerk. So then what happens? It is withdrawn. If you cannot perform as a managing director, these perquisites do not apply to you. So all those benefits will be withdrawn. Therefore, when the human body is awarded, we have to utilize it for the right purpose. Otherwise, the danger is we will slip down to the lower orders of life. That is the point. So at the bottom is animal behavior. Above that is karma kanda. Karma kanda means work for benefit. Mera kya? That is the answer. Then above that is sakama karma. Sakama karma means work with some material desires, but at least acknowledge there is God and bring Him into the picture. Involve God in your activities by praying to Him and taking His blessings and then doing the ritualistic activities and simultaneously executing your duties. So that is sakama karma. And above that is nishkama karma. Anyway act, whether or not the result comes to you, but do it as a matter of duty. So you are not disappointed even if you don't get the results. But you will still do your duty because now you have got a higher goal. It is not just that I want some gain, but I have to do this because these are my prescribed duties. I will not fail in my duties. And above that is Jnana Yoga. That means trying to understand. In that, there may not be much physical activity, but they flex the mental muscles. We have muscles in the body. So the mental muscles, when they are exercised and activated, they think a lot. They are known as Buddhijivi. And then what happens is, they are the kind of people who are philosophers, authors, poets, then thinkers, influencers. So these are those kind of people. And above that is Ashtanga Yoga. They have mystic powers. Ashta Siddhi Nava Nidike Data. What is that? From Hanuman Chalisa. So Hanuman is a mystic yogi. He has got all those powers. So he can award those things. So he is a very elevated personality. So that is Ashtanga Yoga. And above that is Bhakti Yoga, the topmost. Bhakti Yoga means working for the pleasure of the Lord. Let me become an instrument in the Lord's hand. I don't have any of my own desires. That means surrendering your desires to the desire of the Lord. Let your will be done, my Lord, not mine. This is the prayer of a Bhakti Yogi. He doesn't say, give me this, give me that. No. Whatever you want me to do, Lord, utilize me as an instrument in your hand and let your will be executed. Let me become an instrument. Let me be useful in you. So this is the principle of Bhakti Yoga. So now, gradually, Prabhupada, through his purpose, is elevating us to that purpose. Whatever is given by Krishna, in that he is also connecting Bhakti Yoga and telling us. So in that context, in Bhagavad Gita chapter 3 verse number 9, a beautiful shloka is there which explains Yagnartat karmano anyatra loko yam karma bandhana tadartham karma kaunteya mukta sangha samachara. What is the meaning of this? It means work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed, otherwise work causes bondage in this material world. Therefore, O son of Kunti, perform your prescribed duties for his satisfaction, and in that way you will always remain free from bondage. So we come back to the first statement we made. What is the focus of today's verse? How to work without being bound by the results of your action. Let your activities don't bind you further into this world. So now this solution is explained, of course, in another one verse, but even then we are gradually moving towards that direction. Perform your activities, Yagnartha, that means Yagya Purusha is the Supreme Lord Krishna. Karmano, perform your activities for his satisfaction. Then what happens if you do it that way? Lokoyam karma bandhana, tadartham karma kaunteya. He says, if you don't do it in that fashion, if you do it that I, me and mine, in that focus, if you start doing it, then you are bound by the reactions of your own actions. They will act on you, they will bind you further. आपको बांधते चला जाएगा. You are crushed heavily under the burden of karma. So this is the way to gradually liberate yourself. Keep God in the focus, keep God in the center, and learn to relate to Him and understand what He wants from you. He will definitely give you answers in your heart. You see, We are so proud of the mobile and we feel that kar lo duniya muthi mein. With the mobile in my hand, I can communicate. But the Lord has already found this long back. In your own heart, He has given you a handset. And He communicates with you by speaking in your heart. हृदय में परमात्मा बैठे हैं. That is it. सर्वस्य चाहं हृदि सन्निविष्टो मत्थ स्मृतिर्ज्ञानमपोहनं च वेदैश्च सर्वैरहमेव वेद्यो वेदान्तकृत् विद्येह चाहम्. So he explains this in another 15th chapter. He says, I am seated in everybody's heart. Sarvasya chaham hridhi sannivishto. I am seated in everybody's heart. So therefore, it is not that we have no contact with Him. Contact is there. But we need to establish the contact because He has given us the freedom to either turn to Him or turn outward and enjoy this world. So what do you want? If you enjoy this world, you are bound by the reactions. But if you want to be free from the entanglement of the reactions, turn to Him. He is right in your heart. Go inwards. That's what He says. That is the solution. So now, in today's verse, let us just take points. So many, we read a huge purport we read. Let's go to the points. Sankhya means detailed description and Sankhya means the real nature of the soul. So first Krishna is explaining to Arjuna the nature of the soul and explain. When you are bound by your actions. Yeah.
So in that performing your duties by not getting attached to the results.
Yeah.
I mean the Newton's law that you get entangled in that.
Right.
So you should do it for God.
Exactly. You have to bring God into the picture. That is the way to escape from the reactions of your actions. So that when you actually go on further the study of the Gita, see, it is a step-by-step process. Step-by-step process. First thing is, you must have an intense desire that I want to get out of this clutch. And if you have that intense desire, because over a period of time, when a living entity, after undergoing many births, that's a beautiful shloka for that. Bahunam janmanam ante jnanavan mam prapadyante vasudeva sarvamiti sa mahatma sa durlabha. It means, after many births, one comes to the conclusion. See, I'll tell you one important point. Whatever you remember of this life, that is memory. From your childhood up to the present stage, whatever you remember of your past, that is all that has happened to this body. But the soul has been passing from one body after another eternally. So there are many lifetimes in the earlier, before this, we have gone through. But whatever experiences we have gathered in that life, they come down as impressions. That is not memory. They come down as impressions and they are stored in the soul because the soul has a continuity. So therefore, you can see some people from their young age, they have an inclination to devotion. And others, their inclination is more to enjoy the outside world. They want to enjoy their senses. This distinction you will see in the people in general. From where does it come? It comes from the carried forward from the past. It is carried forward. So therefore, when a soul comes to that understanding, so then the inclination is more towards understanding spirituality. Focusing is more on spirituality and listening to the gut feeling that is coming from inside. And that gut feeling is the talk of the soul. That is how it goes. So therefore, if you turn inwards, focus your attention towards God and you involve God in all that, see, there's a simple solution. Karmanyam vadika raste, we discussed that verse also now. The only right you have is to do your duty. But you cannot be attached to the results because it is not in your control. And then why fret over it? Oh, aisa ho gaya, I did so much, I didn't get, I did so much, I didn't get. So That is not the way. That is where people get bogged down. They get bogged down because they are focusing on the result. Better you focus on the effort than the result. Then what happens? That effort attracts the mercy of the Lord. That is the hidden factor. The effort that you put sincerely attracts the mercy of the Lord, and when the Lord sanctions, then the result will flow. So that is where God is involved in your decisions. When you take your decisions, you have to involve God in it. धर्म का यह मतलब नहीं कि संसार को छोड़ो, धर्म का मतलब है संसार में भगवान को जोड़ो. This is a simple solution. Just add God to all your activities, to all your plans, to all your actions, everywhere. Bring Him into the picture. Then things will begin to flow more smoothly. This is the solution. So now here, let us try to understand why are we in this world. It's been discussed in this purport, perplexity of material life. What is perplexity? A problem for which you don't have solution, that is perplexity, right? So what do people generally do when they have a problem? If it is a health issue, go to the doctor. If it is a legal issue, go to a lawyer. If it is some other issue, go to the police. If it is still something, go to a guide, somebody who can guide you, like that. But how many people turn to God in the first place? Hardly anybody. God is the last resort. When you have exhausted all the other possibilities, then you think, चलो अभी यहाँ भी try करते हैं. नंबर लग गया तो ठीक है, लॉटरी लगती है कि नहीं देखते हैं. People come with a little faith, hardly any faith, but they come. But if they come, that is their good fortune. And when they come, and if they find the right association, that is association of a proper devotee, it all depends on the intensity of feeling they have from the heart, because God is monitoring you from inside and He will guide you according to that. So that is where Arjuna is again and again advised by Krishna. Focus inward, focus towards the soul, do not look to the externals, do not be caught up by sentimental issues, look to the principles and understand what is the truth. Tattva. Tattva means the truth. So Kapil Dev's philosophy also has been discussed in this. I am not going much into that details because that you will come to know as you read further. So that is more towards Bhakti Yoga. Let us enough understand this simple factor that if we involve God in our decision making and understand that He is a very, very vital player in our life and the results of our actions. He is holding the key to the results of our actions. If we understand that, then automatically you will start involving Him in your decision making also. So to give you an example, supposing somebody has children at home. Now parenthood is a major responsibility for people in their life. They have children. So obviously everybody wants the best for their children. Everybody will pray for their children and they will also strive their best to give them a better life than even what they are having. This is natural because they love their children. But how the child will turn out is not in our control. Child may be good in studies, child may not be good in studies, but it is not guaranteed that if you are good in studies, you will be successful in life. That is also not the case. And even if you are good in studies, but there are people who may not have studied much, but they are very successful in their life. So we don't have clear-cut answers to all these things. Therefore, learn to depend on God and involve Him. So when you raise your child, how should you raise it? Oh my Lord, by your blessings this child has come to me. It is a fact. You cannot get a child without the blessing of the Lord. By your blessings this child has come to me. Now, he is first your child and then my child. That is how you bring God into the picture. He is first your child. He is under my care. So it is all the more important that I should take better care of him because I am accountable to you. So you bring him into the picture in that way. I am accountable to you and therefore let me raise him in such a way that he becomes a responsible and an honorable citizen and he leads a life which is acceptable. should not be a degraded life, should be a life of respect, should be a life. And then each one gets in this life according to their karma. I'll give you some examples, very interesting. At least I know two families from my personal experience. They came from Pakistan, 1947, where they were multimillionaires. One from Lahore, other from Sindh. They were very well-to-do, huge land, successful business, but overnight they had to leave everything and come. And when they landed in Mumbai, nothing in the hand. And one such person, the father of my friend, he landed up in Metro Cinema. And he was starting to do the job of an usher. You know, torch मार के ticket लोगों को बिठाते हैं ना सीट पर. He took up that job. Just imagine, a businessman rolling in crores overnight, he comes down to this level. From there they started building up. And today that family is rolling in crores. Do you think everybody can do this? It was there in their karma. So whatever was their original position, there was a disruption, but they are restored to that position. By whose plan? There is somebody upstairs. Similarly, another family. They came from there. They also had to leave everything and come. But they got established very nicely. And today they are in the elite club. So how did this happen? Because they had that original status. There was a temporary drop. It rebounds. When you bounce the ball down, it comes back. No? So like that. So karma, how much you have is secondary. But how you live is primary. With whatever you have, how you live, that is more important. So that contact to God, that connection to God, that awareness of God, that connection to Him, that is what makes life successful. Otherwise, you may be rolling in crores, but then if that spiritual content is not there, then it is like a husk from which the grains have already been removed. Empty husk. Bolte hai na? It has got no value. So anyway, here now. So we have to understand this simple philosophy that we are here by the special arrangement of the Lord for a temporary time, because death is one thing that will stop your existence in this world, at least in this body. Okay, further what happens, there is other calculation for that. So till we are active, if we connect to Him, then we are well placed. If we are disconnected from Him, what happens to a leaf which is disconnected from the root? It will dry off. That what will happen to us if we are disconnected to Him. So that connection to Him is given by a simple method. And what is that connection? Chanting His names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So that is what, when you come to ISKCON, that is one thing you can take home. The name of the Lord, the process of chanting. This is something which you do on a daily basis. Supposing you write one page you are writing one day, in 1 year, difficult. Even if you can, but it's very difficult. But if you, one page a day is very easy to do. So chant a minimum number of rounds on a daily basis. So what happens by the end of your life? You have called out His name so many times. And remember, God incarnates in His name. That is His beauty. His name is not like other things. If you are thirsty and you say water, will it quench your thirst? You have to drink the water, only then it will quench. But if you chant His names, He incarnates. Kali Kale Nama Rupe Krishna Avatar. Remember that. So He is incarnating in His names, and His name is equal to Him. His name has the same potency as He has. So He has given us that facility. Use it. Simple. Hare Krishna. Thank you. So now we will have Kirtans. 8:50 Darshan will open. And Kirtan is the Kali Yuga Dharma. The Yuga Dharma for Kali Yuga is Sankirtan. Sankirtan means chanting the holy names in association of the devotees, and that has got more power. One person can call out, it may go to some extent, but if many people come together and call out, the voice is heard over a longer period. So therefore the Lord is very attracted to Sankirtan. So let us now partake in Sankirtan. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Maharaj was listening to your class.
My God.